Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Okay, another Facebook Live. Okay, on this wonderful, what is today? The 24th, I think 5th, something like that, of March, Thursday. All right, and today we have a wonderful guest from the lovely state of Arizona. Also, with an extremely interesting background. As a matter of fact, I saw him play live before I even knew him, and we figured it out because he was with Darius Rutger at Red Rock. Okay, this is probably what? I know it's at least 8 years ago because it was one of my first dates with Tina, and I took her to see that concert. And you were playing. We figured out that you were actually playing that night, and on the stage with several others. Okay, Patrick Clark, everybody, yeah, woo!
There it is. I was waiting for it.
So wait for it. There's the studio audience. Thank you, Paul. I mean, you can't see them behind me, but there's quite a crowd here.
I can hear it.
All right, so tell them a little about yourself. I know I mentioned Darius Rutger, but I know you played with other people as well.
Yeah, so my background is in music and education. I lived in Nashville for 7 years and played with a lot of heavy hitters in country music. Um, and uh, and loved it. Had a great time. Got to play on Oprah and Ellen, Letterman, Leno, Kimmel, Fallon. The only one we didn't get to do, which is still a bucket list, maybe someday, is Saturday Night Live. But we did a lot of TV shows. I played for Big and Rich and Kelly Clarkson and Roy Clark. If those of you who know who Roy
Oh yeah.
Clark is from Hee Haw, and just a monster player. But yeah, a lot of cool opportunities, and got to be around a lot of celebrities all the time, and then moved into education. Actually, lived there in Vegas for about 4 years. I taught at Nevada School of the Arts and at Doral Academy, um, and loved it. And I taught also at Rainbow Dreams. And then I moved back to Arizona, which is where I'm originally from, and taught at Basis, which is a high, I guess, highfalutin school. I don't want to say highfalutin. I don't want to offend anybody, but they're super smart kids and 100% graduation rate stuff. And then real estate about 3 years ago. So
Highfalutin. That goes along with your country background. The only thing you could have added was highfalutin tootin'.
that's right, boy.
All right, so I have to ask you because I absolutely think Kelly Clarkson's voice is off the hook. But I'm just wondering, is she pretty cool to work with too?
Yeah, so I played in the orchestra for her on was it the Grammys or Billboard? I think it was Billboard Music Awards, I think we did with her. Didn't get a whole lot of time with her, but she was very cordial to us, said hello, it was very nice.
Was that the Billboard Awards in Vegas?
Hmm.
I was at that now twice now. See that? I was at that one.
Okay.
That was pretty incredible. There's a company in town called what are they called? Ticket Seats or ticket something. And if you join them, they give you it's a one. Well, it hasn't been around for a year now, but they give you seats, something ticket seats or something. And if when they need to fill something, if you're first on that list and you pick it right away, it comes to your phone. Boom! They had a few empty seats. That's how I got in to see that. That was cool.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Okay. Well,
and I
yeah, I
had
was
pretty
on
good
that one
seats
then
too.
too. Yeah.
Actually, I had pretty good seats too. All right. Well, okay. Enough about that. I could talk about that because I play a little bit. Nothing like what you did, obviously. But
Yeah.
I love recording and doing all. That's my hobby. One of my hobbies. But that's a blast. You got to have a hobby too, right? But
I do.
you
Yep.
got right into real estate just a few years ago. Started off out of the gate right away, and you're already now got quite a team going. So tell us a little about your very lengthy 3 year journey, or is it 4 years now?
That's three, not quite three. We're not quite
Yeah,
three yet.
there you go.
Um, so, so I started July 26th, which happens to be my youngest daughter's birthday. And that was 2018, I guess. Yeah, 2018. And I knocked a for sale by owner, and got the listing, and made half my year's teaching salary from that one listing. And I went, hmm, I don't think I can go back into the classroom, even though I loved it. And so it worked out because Jenny went on bed rest. We were expecting our fourth and final, Jenny, if you're watching, final child. And
Yeah.
it was tough because I thought, if I would have been teaching, I wouldn't have had the flexibility. So what I did, um, is I knocked my neighborhood because I could only be within about 5 or 10 minutes from her in case something crazy happened. So I knocked my neighborhood and the neighborhood next to it.
I remember.
And to this day, the biggest deal I've done came out of my neighborhood. It was a neighbor of ours that was renting in one of the higher end houses, and they decided to buy and asked me to help them. So, um, but it's led to some great friendships and some just, it's gone beyond real estate for sure. But and I guess now we've started a team, and that concept is still kind of shifting around. We're just enjoying collaborating with our partners. So now I personally cover Flagstaff and Phoenix, and then Michael and Nancy cover Phoenix and Prescott. And then we've just added Catherine Ortmeyer to the team. She's my personal assistant, and just has done a great job already in the last few weeks, just really rocking it there. So, and that's basically the team for now.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's good stuff. Yeah, I love Tucson. I love Prescott too. They're both nice areas. Okay, but good. All right, good. So, what is your goal? Like, how'd you do last year, and what is your goal for this year, my man?
So last year I sold 6.4 in raw sales. I can't even remember what GCI it turned out to be, because I sold 7.4 the year before, and I was like, oh cool, I can sell $1 million less and make the same amount of money. But all the co-broke started to kind of change. So I was like, oh dang it.
Yeah.
So COVID really raised a lot of cane for me because I was a door knocking fool, door knocking in open houses. I didn't really do a ton with my sphere, even though I did some. I was scared to talk to my sphere because I never didn't want anybody to feel like I was trying to sell them.
Right.
So the only thing I could do during the shutdown was call my sphere. So that's what I did, and so my Q3 just totally, bit the dust. And then Q4 was amazing. And I always tell a lot of newer agents, you've got 3 to 6 months of work before you might see your first deal. I got lucky, um, but especially now with COVID, and door knocking can be kind of a little bit of a struggle for some folks. And um, I've I've kind of pulled back from it a little bit just because I just don't want to make people feel uncomfortable that way. Um, but that forced me to call my sphere, and now every deal I'm doing this year, and I'll close 13 personal sales by the end of April, and that's been 100% referral.
Yeah. When you say personal, you mean you, not you and the team.
Me and the team, yeah, the team will close 15 total sales by the end of April.
Good. All right. So you got it rocking there. Good job. Now, I don't know if I've ever asked you this question, but well, first off, I don't agree with you. I don't think that was lucky. I think you got, because I remember talking to you. Do you remember you called me? I don't know if it was the first time, but one of the first times you went out door knocking, you called me. Okay, fill me in again. Give me a little update. What am I? And then you went out there, and I know that Shirley, your manager, has been helping you tremendously, which is great, especially with the team
She
building.
has.
But you were okay. It's not often that somebody right out of the gate is comfortable going out door knocking or using the phone. You were, and I think that has a lot to do, with your success and how fast you've been successful in this business. And you're just beginning. I can tell you're going to go as far as you want to go. Whenever you
Well, thank
become
you.
complacent, is as far as you'll go. I was listening to a book this morning, and I love books about that are written by, she's some kind of doctor. I don't know if she's a sociologist, but it's called Negotiation Genius, and it's about like when you get on like a coaching call and you make a declaration. When you tell people, "Here's what I'm going to do," you're 4 times as likely to achieve it. If you tell them and you put it in writing, the result goes off the charts. And I know that you were willing to do that. Now, do you think some of your background was helped you in that kind of area, or what do you think,
Oh,
maybe?
absolutely. Yeah. So there's a couple things. So when I started entertaining on the Grand Canyon Railway when I was 13, when I was doing it by myself, I was 14 years old. And you're walking up and down the aisles of a rolling train car trying to play violin, and the bows, and people are walking by, and you know, but your job is to make people have a good time. And there are certain people that are just really not interested in having you like say, "Hey, how you doing? Here's a song," blah, 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 right in your
It
face,
makes
right?
me happy.
And so like you have to read that body language and say, you know what, they're not interested. It's okay. I'm gonna move over here. These people are having a good time with it, and we'll just hang out with these folks. And being able to read your audience, is really important. And so I learned to read body language very early on, and obviously that paved its way through in the teaching stuff, and of course the entertainment. Although Darius, and all the artists I worked for, we had to read the crowd, but it was more important. Sorry, I had a call come in and had to turn them off. It was really important for us to make sure that the star shined. So as much as we were needing to read the audience, we weren't the center of attention. So we were there to support our artists. And then you move into the classroom, and Rick, I'm sure you felt this many times doing what you do, but you'll watch people just go, you know, and that's when you're talking too much, you
Right,
know. And so
right.
all of those things, you compile them into being able to read people and get their feedback without them really saying a whole lot. And so yeah, I would say it's been a big part of it.
Yeah, and that is one of the facial expressions and body language is 55% of communication. So when you grew up doing that, and I think for public, because I played in a top 40 band, nothing like yours, obviously, but I accredit a lot of my, because I was afraid. I mean, I was really afraid to be in front of people at first. Not a lot of people believe that, but it's true. And playing in a traveling, I used to call it the rice circuit. We played all the Chinese restaurants that turned into clubs at night in New England. I used to call it the rice circuit. We had a great time, and it was incredible, but it was also helpful to get over the fear of being in front of people. So that was
Right.
tremendously helpful to me as well. But the other thing I think would be, like, for instance, what you just mentioned. But in order for you to do that, be walking, be playing a song, okay, it requires massive repetition. Whatever you're playing needs to be tattooed on your brain so you're allowed to be natural and normal, yet conversing and having fun, being yourself, because you've, whoops, I just knocked the microphone over, because you have what you need to present down so well you can be observing other things while that's happening, right?
That's right. Yep. Yep.
That,
And so
and
that really goes along with scripts, you
ex,
know.
yes,
Yeah, it really does. And I mean, it's and teaching's that way too. I mean, I would teach so much. I was teaching 45 contact hours a week when I was in Vegas, and I would forget who I told what to, depending on how many beginners or how many intermediates or whatever that I was teaching that day, because I'd be like, I say this so much,
right,
did I tell you that? I think I told you. Yeah, oh yeah. And when and there's a saying that it's an affirmation in a way, that I love. And Noah, my son, plays drums, and it's, if you can sing it, you can play it, right? And how you sing it is how you play it. And if you flip that idea into real estate, if you can sing it, you can play it, which is basically you're visualizing the end, right? It's a total affirmation of what's to come, right? And how you sing it is how you play it. So how you practice it and how you visualize it, the process of that and the quality of that and all of the intent and tone and all of those things that go into making a beautiful sound on an instrument, whether it's drums or whatever. Those are all forward moving, accepting failure type processes. And if you have the always have the end in mind, then you will always make progress and you will always sound pretty good. But it takes that repetition, like you say, of just doing it. And eventually it's like, oh yeah, that's what we do. That's just how it is,
yeah.
and so eventually it becomes more habitual.
Yeah, so that's well, a lot of musicians, I believe, uh, that have begun, because when I was at McFerry, I coached the keyboard player for Eddie Money. I mean, it was hilarious because he was on tour, and he goes, "Rick, coaching with you is so much more difficult. My only decision on tour with Eddie Money was white or red with my lunch." He
That's
was a
right.
funny dude, but he was an incredible keyboard player too. But my point is that when you understand the repetition part, and you understand repetition isn't the end all, it's part of the equation. Meaning that if I know what to say and I know how to communicate, I can really pay attention to what's going on, facial expressions, body language, tonality, so I can really be an effective communicator. And I think that's why you've had a lot of the success you have, because you already come into the deal understanding all that.
And it's hard. Some people, sometimes I wonder if it's an experience thing or if it's, natural or, and I just have to kind of chalk it up to a mixed bag of personality type and those kinds of things. But, um, like when I think I will tell you this, like I had all those skill sets, but I still had the fear of, um, I never wanted anybody to feel like they were being sold to. I needed deals. I knew that I needed the money, but when I left education, I wanted to make sure that I still had an impact on people's lives. So when I think about how I operate, everything I do, I want to have massive impact, right? So if somebody calls me and says, "Hey, I'm struggling with this," I'm going to refer them somebody that I know that I built a relationship with, through either my BNI chapter organization or that I know here in Arizona or even outside the state. I want to bring value to their lives, whether they do real estate with me or not, because I know that if I do those things, that God will take care of blessing those activities in the way that he sees fit. And that's just my belief system. Some people don't believe that way, or they're not Christians or whatever. But that's my frame of mind, and some people call it an abundance mindset. I just don't fear those failures as long as my heart's in the right place and I'm not thinking about you know gagging people for money. You just get out there and help people, and when you're thinking about the repetition of conversations, you ask the Ford questions, right? The family, occupation, recreation, dreams. And if you're focusing on them and then you run your business correctly, get a buyer broker agreement, get an exclusive right to list, protect your business, be a good business person, but just be honest and good to people, then the rest kind of works itself out.
Yeah, and I think if you're a Christian, that's obviously, and I am myself, and I am also consider myself spiritual. So you can call it, you can even call it karma, right?
Right.
You're
Yep.
doing the right thing, attracting the right. I saw a funny post the other day too. It said karma. If there was a restaurant named Karma, you would open the menu and it would say, "You get what you deserve." Isn't that a
Yeah.
great? That's a great post. Okay, somebody can steal that. So no, but I agree with you 100%. It goes back to that golden rule, right? Like you don't, okay, and this is what people. I try to. Well, I want to be a hammer. You don't want to be a hammer. Okay, if you're a hammer, then you would work with nails. What you want to be is somebody who can communicate efficiently, effectively. You can't, like this morning. Okay, this always it bothers me because um, people are wasting their time and going through frustration that's unnecessary. A woman's giving me example of a frustration of hers. And I go, ho, ho, ho. Tell me where the seller's going. Well, they're moving to blah, blah, blah. Eventually, that's the problem. You're not trying to convince somebody that they want to move. You're
That's
looking
right.
for someone who's actually moving. And if someone's actually moving, then you can help them. So the key is to if you find people that are doing something, you are tremendously helpful. If you're trying to convince somebody, that's where the salesman part comes in. Where you have commission breath, where it sounds like all you're doing, you can't. That is a waste of your time. It makes you look bad. You're looking for people you can help, and the people you can help are the ones that respond the best to, especially the tools, the brand, the things that we have here.
Yeah, I think it's really important to focus on providing massive value. Mark talks about this all the time about being hyper local, and everybody has their own background, their own skill sets, and those kinds of things. So using your gifts that God gave you. Again, I'm not trying to preach here. It's just that's my brain.
Yeah.
Um,
You're fine.
using the tools that God gave me. God gave me music, so I like to communicate with people via music. I like to connect with people that way. But He also gave me the gift of enjoying people's company. And I the one thing that I was I kind of helped myself get through any fear that I did have with door knocking was, I'm one conversation away from meeting my next best friend. Um, and when I look at it from a life building perspective, um, my conversations are very different. And they feel different. People feel differently about those conversations and about me. And that leads to me growing my business. And this business is a wonderful business to grow your life with, but sometimes we get caught up on the desperation of needing a deal and those kinds of things. And I would say, you know, I pulled the plug on teaching, and I had a little bit of side money from all of my gigs that I kind of kept going while I kind of transitioned into real estate. But I was all real estate all day, and then I would gig at night. But you had a lady on that was talking about, it was last week or 2 weeks ago. She talked about, the money she sets aside. This money, this business is cyclical. So if you don't manage your money well, and make sure that you're saving for the rainy day, that you're putting away tax money. I mean, I have been struggling to get to the point, but I am now. My business has 6 months of money sitting in the bank account right now.
Yeah.
So if I went down with COVID or something crazy went bad, I'm not scared. And that creates a whole different mindset when I'm talking to people. It creates freedom. It creates relaxation in my conversations, because now I'm not trying to get to this point where, are you going to sell? Are you going to sell? Are you going to buy? Are you going to buy? I'm not that way. And man, it's amazing how things turn around and start coming in when you're
Mm.
there, you
Yeah.
know. But that's also a really crucial point that I think you know is worth making.
Yeah. No, it's such a great point because when you're desperate, it's transparent, right? And people don't want to talk.
Hmm.
I mean, I'm selling my most important asset or I'm buying I don't want to talk to somebody, and think car salesman. What's it going to take to put you into this car today? My last car I bought, I was actually with Tina. He started to say that. I said, don't ruin it. Don't ruin it. And he looked at me like, what are you? I go, don't, by saying that line. It's so old, it's pathetic. Stop it. You're too young to be saying that line.
That's funny.
So no, it's true though, right? I mean, you're enjoying the experience. I mean, if I'm selling my home and buying another one or moving, it is stressful, but part of it's enjoyable. And when you come across as a slimy salesperson, you have commission breath and you're repelling as hell. And I don't think a lot of agents understand that the fact that you are desperate has nothing. Look, this morning, 6:15, my cell phone goes off. It's an agent having a panic attack that I called back at about 20:07, and it was all about this very thing. It's like you can't expect them to react based on your desperation. As a matter of fact, if anything, they're going to react the other way.
The other way.
You're,
Yeah.
you're not attractive, you're repelling.
Yeah. Yep.
Fortunately, she has a good
And
sense.
that
Yeah,
and that part right there brings the point that you have to have your DRC,
you're
because
right.
your daily revenue commitment is not you looking at every single conversation as, I'm making money from this one and I'm making money from this one. You're just having a certain number of conversations that connect you with people.
Right.
Real estate's part of your life. Maybe you're talking to a doctor. Medical stuff's part of their life. COVID's probably going to come up. COVID's going to come up in every conversation right now. But what's happening in their life? Most good people are going to ask you what's happening in yours. And if you share a little bit, and and create really cool ways to say, man, we've been doing good. We got this really awesome program, called um, oh shoot, Forward,
The-
Apex Forward. And
I-
we're actually finding ways to help people buy first and sell second and keep the upside on their sale.
right.
And like, it's just been a really powerful thing. Oh, really? How does that work?
Yeah.
Like, there's ways that you can engage in these fear conversations that creates curiosity to where they start asking about it.
Right.
And it's like the carrot in front of the rabbit's nose.
Yep.
And once I kind of made those changes, I felt like my conversations changed. My personal uh, angst dropped,
Right. Went away.
and I got more deals. Yeah, it did, and it's so much fun,
Right.
because then you're connecting and you're learning, and they're wide open for you.
Right.
And maybe they'll do a deal with you, and maybe they won't. you
Right.
know, but who
Either
cares?
way, you're both fine.
You
Right.
had a great conversation.
Yeah. So that's such a great point. And people always say to me, well, if I saw the results, I'd have the faith. And I always go, no, it doesn't happen that way. It doesn't happen. Like for you, it didn't happen that way. You said, you know what, this makes sense to me. And you did it. And a lot of the people I interview, same thing. Like you just said it. I couldn't have said it any better. DRC, your daily revenue commitment, the number of conversations you need to have daily, followed by learn how to communicate powerfully, use company tools, because like you said, it opens the door to additional conversation. If you're even considering an iBuyer today, this is by far a better program for
Yeah,
you because, like you said, you get to share in the upside, okay, which is unheard of with the iBuyer. So all these things
you
that we
have to
have,
know your tools.
you,
Yeah,
you have
yeah,
first off, you have to have a toolbox, and you got to know what you have in the toolbox. It goes back to, like you said, walking through the train, being able to walk, play a song, and observe. No, that's all part of the process. I know what to say. I know my tools. I'm confident. I'm competent. Now I can listen, be myself, have a personality, and then people will want to use me because of that. Okay, especially
yeah.
with
It's
the
attractive.
tools.
That is
Yeah,
so attractive to people. Like I've had so many conversations with a lot of different people, and it's like, just be attractive, man. Like,
yeah,
don't don't try to get money out of people, and don't you're not being dirty if you're helping.
right,
And if you're smart, you're creating opportunities to have good conversations, talk a little bit about what you do, and then just be a great resource and be comfortable, because people work with people they're comfortable with,
right.
you know so be a
So true.
comfort zone.
So true. The word is attractive, and it's not. We're not talking about how much makeup or how your hair looks, especially mine. We're talking about what's coming out of your mouth. Well, you have incredible. I mean, we have kind of the same goatee, but you definitely have way more hair than me.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's starting to go back.
Yeah, yeah, not even close. I mean,
Trying to
right.
make you feel better.
Thank you. I appreciate that. See, he's doing it. He's making me feel better. I want to use Patrick Clark for my next purchase. All right. So, okay. So, this brings me to my favorite question. I love to see how you're going to answer this one. Turn the clock back and what you know now. Okay, what would be the three most important things you would tell people to focus on when it comes to their business?
It's a great question. I would say number one, focus on your sphere. 80% of the business that you do should come from your sphere. That's a statistic I didn't necessarily know when I started. Nobody told me that. And so focus on your sphere, and at the same time, I would say this is number one. Be attractive. Find a ways to serve your sphere. Serve your sphere. Can I say it
Don't
again?
fear the
Serve your sphere.
sphere.
Yeah, don't know, because you are a service provider, you're a licensed professional, you are the consultant, you are the expert. And the best experts know when they're not, and they ask questions and say, "Hey, I don't know." Don't be a know-it-all. The second thing is, I would say, make sure that you have a really identifiable system for intake of information for new people. So, Sphere isn't the only way to get business. You have to have a second and third leg. Mine's open houses. Um, but make sure that you have a good way to not only get those people into your database, but to follow up with high value information that's important to them. Right? It's not a one size fits all. So you need to have a good system for follow up at the cadence and communication style that those people receive. And the third is, and I'm so guilty of this, it's ridiculous. Don't kill yourself trying to force business when you need to go home and be with your family.
Right.
Um, Sorry. this one gets me because I've got a little bit of guilt about it. But you can't make it happen in a short period of time. You might get lucky,
Right.
but this is a 3 to 6 month game, you know. So what I'm doing right now, I expect nothing out of right now. But I know that if I do what I need to do right now, in 3 to 6 months, I'll be okay. So at the end of the day, when it's time to go home, go home.
Go home.
Live your life, be with your family. For me, my look in the mirror thing is go be the father that God called you to be. Go be the husband that God called you to be. And that doesn't happen by you working 20 hours a day, you know, jokingly, but you know.
Such a good point. And just so you know, I mean, I feel like I know your kids, your wife. Jen, yeah. Do you ever feel like saying to your wife, 8675309? Or is that like an old joke?
Well, I say, Jenny, I might not be a smart man, but I know what love is.
Okay, Forrest. Not to be confused with Forrest behind the wall over there. Okay, our broker. Forrest Barbie. He's awesome too. All right. So that is hilarious. But I'm thinking of the song 8675. All right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, but I feel like I know your 4 kids. I've seen your son play drums. I've seen you out with them. I remember when your youngest was born, you took us down the process. So I would venture to guess you're a pretty good dad. It's pretty obvious that you are. Okay. No one's perfect. You know.
Hard at it.
I know that.
Fair enough.
You do.
Yep.
And it's very obvious. And that, people that real estate's only part of the equation. It's actually the easy part. Like you just said, and this is the key thing you said something in number 2 too, you talk to people at their cadence. That has a lot to do with learning personality styles. Okay. Which is what you're kind of, are they expressive? Are they analytical? So that you can speak to them in their language. It kind of comes naturally to you, but everybody needs to say, that's something you worked on. You worked on it when you were young. Okay. Reading people, playing the violin while walking down a moving train, which is awesome, by the way. What a great story. And, so you develop this way of being able to talk to people and communicate in their own language. And I guarantee you that's why people warm up to you immediately. Now, for some of you guys, I'm telling you, I was not good at this. I'm a driver, which means I'm a hammer, everyone's a nail. It took me 10 years to figure that out in real estate, doing it the wrong way, when I learned the personality styles and just learning to listen and communicate the way they want to be communicated to, not the way I want to communicate to everybody. That's a big point. Your second point. Okay. So
think about time of possession.
Yeah.
I'll add to that. Time of Possession. Ninja Selling is a book everybody should read, especially in this kind of market. Time of possession, 80-20. Again, the 80-20 rule. We kind of bring that up all the time. The client or prospect should have 80% of the conversation. Your 20% is asking questions that give the ball back. Like the total selfless, like forfeiting team in a way. Give them the ball back.
Yeah.
So, okay, now here's another question. Your turn.
Yeah. And the great thing to that is the more they talk to you, the more they invest in using you as well and creating a relationship with you. Yeah. A lot of people don't realize that. When I was at Mike Ferry, we called it the 50-50 rule, meaning I like the 80-20 would be an ultimate goal. If you can do 20% of the talking and 80% of the listening, that's perfect, but never cross the 50-50 line, ever.
No.
Yeah. All right. Any final thoughts you want to leave them, Pat? This has been an incredible interview, my man. Any final thoughts you want to leave these wonderful people from Arizona, California, and Nevada? And maybe more.
Serve your people. Serve your people. Serve your people. Just be a servant.
I love it. Be a servant. And that's how you first off, it's the golden rule, which is nice. And it's like a unbelievable double whammy, because when you treat people like that, being a servant, you also get everything that you want and then some. So that's awesome. Thank you, Patrick Clark, my man. You're awesome. Keep it rocking. Look forward to working you with, forever.
Yes, sir.
All right, guys.
Yes,
thank you very much for
the
your time. Take it easy, bro.
See you later.
All right.